Hello, 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 everyone. Welcome to Coach Powell Training Development. I am Coach Powell, and it is my pleasure to come in front of you today and share ideas that are powerful and passionate and will help you accomplish the things that you need to accomplish in your business, in your leadership development, and everything that you need to do to grow as a professional. Today, we are continuing in our series of the RAPapproach, which is uh, a very creative and involved structure that I put together to allow organizations to develop a more professional, more dynamic culture and to make sure that they're getting the best in terms of performance excellence out of everything that they do, whether you're in an association, whether you're in some kind of group or team, whether you belong to a family, no matter where human beings are, these principles that we're going to talk about in the RAPapproach um, over the next couple of weeks are always relevant, always special, always important. Today, we're going to get into the simple aspects of professional respect. We're just going to talk about a few of them because this is going to be probably something we do over the next 2 or 3 weeks, just getting into professional respect alone, what it means, how it's used, where to pull it out, how we pull it all together. And we're going to have a very specific sort of pick list that we're going to hit from today that should leave you more empowered and leave you with more ability to work with people, no matter where you're coming from. We're going to talk to you about how you earn a rightful claim to dignity, tenderness, and benevolence. We're going to talk about the core essentials for meaningful and professional relationships. We're going to talk about the two truths of active respect. All right, that's a term that I coined called active respect. We're going to talk about the beginning of real understanding and what that leads to. We're going to talk about the power of feedback to help you develop maximum growth. We're going to talk about how you might generate authentic support and encouragement for everything that you do. Why matching what I call echoes are so important to developing and maintaining levels of professional respect with one another. And the importance of finding and maintaining your spotlight so that you know where it is. When you know where your spotlight is, you'll know how to shine it on others, which is a great thing. Um, and invite anybody else you want into that spotlight, right? And why the great ones encourage open and honest communication. And so for those of you all who want to follow along and read along with some of the things we're going to be talking about today, you can do so in the chat. We've put some information out there already. This is a self-assessment we put out there last week. We're really re-engaging and re-putting it out there this week. And just a section about professional respect alone is going to be helpful for you to begin to develop your own awareness of how you are doing that and how you are engaging in the appropriate ways, along with some of the things we're going to talk about today. Obviously, I'm putting together an entire um, training program that's probably going to be 10 or 12 weeks long um, for those of you who are in corporate development and training and you want to experience this. I'll have the full document ready at the end of this series, that people can download and share and do what they need to do. So follow along. And definitely ask any questions that you have in the chat about the topic of the day. Let's make sure that you're doing everything you can to work with others. If you are logging in to today's show from wherever you're logging into today's show, definitely let me know who you are. Definitely let me know where you're coming from. Let us know your ideas and thoughts about professional respect. If you have any, and again, like always, it's a very business friendly show. So if you have anything that you want to share in terms of events that you're putting together or attending, or you want to have people come to visit your website for whatever reasons, make sure you always understand, because I'm a big benefits guy, right? So make sure you listen to chat. What is the benefit of us paying attention to this information? And then put the information in there. Put the URLs if you want to, or um, any type of you know connections that we may have to actually follow up and follow through with those events. Because again, this is a very entrepreneurial channel. We want to make sure that people uh, attend to one another and pay attention to one another, but also say the right things to generate that attention, right? So we want to provide those opportunities for you as well. As always, everything that I do, everything that I promote, everything I come from is largely sponsored and promoted through my fraternity, my brothers of Phi Beta Sigma. I've done a fantastic job of helping me promote ideas about business and business development through our Bigger and Better Business program. They've adopted all of my programs and resources. And so I thank my brothers for being there for me and making sure that we're spreading the good news for small businesses everywhere, especially here in Northern Virginia area. Okay. Having said that, get a nod to our sponsors and everything. Let's get going. Let's get right into this because I don't want to hold off. I don't want to wait any more on this. Um, I can't wait till you guys get to see the full finished training for this. But let's take it from the top. How do you stake your team's rightful claim to dignity, tenderness, and benevolence? Before we get into that, let's talk about why is it important that your people feel these ideas? Why is it important that they feel like they belong to an organization where dignity, tenderness, and benevolence are supported? It turns out that these are the things that people need to have a sense of not just belonging, but thriving in an environment, right? And they bleed from the leadership down. So it goes from a top down approach, also from a bottom up approach, right? If everybody understands what professional respect is truly all about, and they are practicing at a high level the strategies and techniques, the systems that help to create levels of respect, then what's going to happen is your team will literally have a rightful claim to dignity, tenderness, and benevolence. Where does it start? It starts from the inside out and it radiates out, right? So let's talk about this. Professional respect, what is it? When you have respect for yourself, you have a very high self-concept. And in that self-concept journey that we all should be taking to get better and better and better at not just what we do, but who we are, right? We tend to focus more on activities that draw certain developmental success. But before there's activities, there are thoughts that come in. And if we start with our thoughts and feelings about what it means to be a respectful person, with how do we develop our own self-concept and our own self-respect, right? These ideas that we generate those things and start to align with our highest truths, our highest values, the priorities that we think are more important, the principles that we will hold in high regard, right? If we know that our life and our activities and our thoughts are all aligned with the proper levels, the stress, the proper levels of connection, discernment, and development in any particular area, you're going to find that we have a high self concept in that area. We have a high belief in ourselves. We have a high understanding of who we are in the space. In fact, that's what self-concept actually answers. It answers the question, who am I? When you have a high self-concept, you can answer that question. You can write it down. You can prove it first to yourself and then to others. But when you don't have a high self-concept, you're still reaching and stretching and trying to identify the principles, the core principles that matter to you, the values that matter to you, the people and organizations that are meaningful to you, and for whatever the reasons that meaning is, that's going to help you really develop and really understand that self-concept. So if you understand that and you have a high level of self-concept, what's going to happen is you're going to naturally be able to help others find the same thing. You'll be naturally able to help others find that high level of self-concept and self-respect. And that's going to radiate outward in every action and thought process, because every action and every thought is going to be aligned with your organizational principles. It's going to be aligned with your organizational values, with your mission, with the vision of your organization, and the various connections that you have to make in order to develop and come out with brilliant collaborations and wonderful resources that you'll be able to share. Now that's key. This is the reason why we're talking about everything we're talking about. If you want this, then you're going to want to follow and pay attention to all of the elements I've mentioned before. I'm going to mention to the rest of it today, right? And that's element number one. Element number two is you need to understand the core essentials for meaningful professional relationships. Meaningful professional relationships always, always, always have these core elements involved, right? They always help people feel better about themselves. They always help people feel better about their commitment to the organization or to the family or to the group. They always help people feel like this is the right place. Now is the right time. And yes, I'm willing to give a high level of commitment of time, talent, and treasure, whatever resources that I can imagine, to this thing, to this effort, to this program, to this project, whatever it is that we're doing. If you can help people understanding their value, not just their value from a point of view of financial value, but their point of view of value in terms of alignment with the principles and the values and the key elements of things that they hold true in life. And when you can do that and do that exceptionally well, you end up with a group, a team, an organization. And you can do this, by the way, no matter where you are. Of course, if you're a leader, it's much easier to drive these ideas and thought processes, but it doesn't mean you have to be a leader to do that. All you can be the example, no matter where you are on the org chart, for these fundamental principles and ideas that are going to improve the environment by which you get to play in. I say that because a lot of times we think of our environment as a place where we have to do the things we do, whatever. But we don't. When you have a high level of self-respect and self-esteem, you're going to figure out ways to enjoy that, even that environment that you might consider toxic, right? But there might be something in that same toxic environment that you can hold on to, and then use that to leverage, positive opportunities within the organization by just being cognizant of it and then mentioning it and talking about it and giving it a level of respect to other people. It's plenty examples I'm going to give you guys of that in training as we come along, but I want to get through this pick list today. So number two is understanding those core meaningful professional relationships, the essentials, the core essentials for those things. Number three is what I call the two truths of active respect. Now, in order to deal with that, right, you have to know what respect is. Respect is actually, it's not this general overall, I respect everybody deserves respect. Yeah, yeah, those things are true in the general sense, but they don't have a lot of power in the specific sense, right? If you are practicing active respect, it's almost like the lessons I share with people with the 9 steps to masterful professional relationships, right? Listening up, right? Listening to the right people. right? Listening to the people that matter the most and can help you leverage the most out of everything that you do. You can't really listen deeply and practice active listening with everyone, just like you can't actively practice respect for everyone because of the very basic meaning of respect. Respect means to honor and to hold in high regard something that someone has done, something that someone has said, something that someone has demonstrated in terms of, who they are and where their values are coming from, right? If you can find something to honor and hold in high regard with other people, then you're going to help elevate that particular aspect of them out of um, sort of the darkness, and you bring that attribute into light if you do it correctly. This requires real thought. It requires intention, right? You have to on purpose be going into conversation with the intention of paying so much attention to someone else that you find those jewels that they carry. You find the talent, you find the abilities, you find the gifts that they've been given in life. And you're able to then take those gifts and then leverage them and show other people how wonderful, how talented, how special, how meaningful, how relevant they are in the space that you're working in. It might not even be on the project that you're working on. It might not even be something that they're showing gifting in that's specifically on the aspects of whatever it is that you're doing. But because we know then what this person has a special gift in that you've seen, and we trust you, and that trust gets to be leveraged, and we get to see that gift now from a different perspective than we would have saw it from our own perspective. Now all of a sudden we've elevated that person to a space where that person now feels like, they're able to fit in more, and we're able to ask them to do more with what they can do to help bring everybody up, everybody in the organization up, all the professionals that belong to it, every group that's a part of it, everybody gets to grow because there's active respect, right? You're practicing active respect. You're demonstrating this is how I want to honor this person. This is how I hold this person in high regard. This is what this person means to me and in the work that we all get to do, not the drudgery that we have to do, but the things that we get to do, the benefits that we get to share, the opportunities that we get to leverage as a result of this collective understanding of things, right? When you can develop that kind of thing, um, and show that kind of respect, that respect, it comes back to you in a real big way, which leads to lesson number 4. When you're able to pay enough attention to people that you begin to have a true understanding of what their real gifts are, what their real talents are, and you begin to share those real gifts and talents amongst others that you work with, or others that are part of the family, or others that are part of the group, what begins to happen is that person begins to feel really understood. In fact, everybody begins to feel really understood within the group, and that gives them a sense of belonging, that gives them a sense of attachment, that gives them a sense that it's okay for them to commit their time, talent, and treasure back to the organization, back to the group that they belong to. And when that happens, all of a sudden you start to see that the group, the culture of the organization begins to transform and change and be one that is less about taking pot shots at each other, that's less about hiding their work or not sharing or collaborating together to accomplish a greater good for the entire team. You see that people are now starting to think at a higher level about what they give into the group, and what active contributions that they're making to the organization, right? Super, super, super powerful. And when you get this right, I mean, it's just nirvana. It's heaven in an organization. It's heaven within people to help them accomplish things they need to accomplish. I see my boy Bazil's out there. Thank you so much, Bazil. Listen, Bazil, if you can put in your contact information and or whatever information you want people to see to log into some of the things that you're working with, a URL or whatever that is, that would be truly appreciated. I want to make sure that everyone who sees the show, whether we see it, they see it and later on demand, or they see it right now, get a chance to participate with that. So thank you very much for coming on the show. But definitely put that information in the chat section for me. That way, everybody will get a chance to benefit and grow from all the good things that Bazil Limba is a networker. I mean, like nobody's business, and he's really really good in teaching and training and developing other people in the fashion of networking. So that's a good thing. Thank you, Brazil. Hope you put that out there for everybody to see. And if you do, I'll make sure I put it up on the screen. In fact, so that whoever watching the show, they don't have to even go to the chat. They can just get it right off the screen. Anyway, as I was saying earlier, number two, we were talking about like those two truths of active respect, right? And how you begin to develop a real understanding as a result of that amongst the team and all that kind of stuff, right? Now, number five is all about understanding the power of feedback towards maximum growth. And there are two aspects of feedback that you have to understand. When you have a good group of team, a good team that you've pulled together, and you give them, and everybody learns how to ask for and receive constructive feedback from each other. There's no voice that goes unheard, right? There's no voice that gets misaligned. There's no voice that doesn't feel like, there's no person who doesn't feel like they've had a contribution into the development. Maybe you're all running separate projects, or you're collaborating on certain projects but not other projects, but you get together in a team and you're reporting out what you're doing, but you're getting the feedback from your other team members, constructive feedback. Right. There's not, I'm not talking about negative feedback. I'm talking about constructive feedback. But you have to learn how to solicit that. You have to learn how to ask for that. You have to learn how to desire that. And where you start that feedback mechanism, every time you say yes to a project, you also say yes to teamwork and collaboration and having people provide you that feedback. And you have to make it clear to people around you that you want the feedback, that you need the feedback. The feedback is something that's going to help you grow. I'll repeat, the feedback is something that's going to help you grow. If you don't want feedback, then you are leaning unto your own understanding around everything. And that's not a recipe for thriving. That is a recipe for you getting to the place where you've maxed out on what you know and what you can understand about a situation. And then at that point, the law of diminishing returns will start to happen to you, and you'll start to the power and the ability that you have will start to diminish as those around you grow, right? That's that's literally aging out. That's literally deciding for yourself, I can't grow anymore. I can't achieve anymore. I can't be any more than I am right now, because if you don't get the feedback that you need, that's like the manna from heaven. That's your greatest gift from other people, is that constructive feedback, right? And so you have to learn how to ask for it, you have to learn how to receive it, and you have to learn how to make sure that the right feedback you actually put in place and implement towards your growth. That means the beautiful thing about feedback is you don't have to accept it, right? You do have to ask for it, and you do have to hear it, and you have to listen to it, but you don't have to accept it and then implement it. That's the power of choice right there, right? So you can take that feedback and be respectful of the feedback, whether or not you agree with it or not. Be respectful of the time that someone took to actively pay attention to something that you're doing and give you a thoughtful idea or a thoughtful way of moving it forward. Again, whether you agree with it or not, you doing that helps that person feel like, even if you don't agree with the feedback, that they've done something meaningful, they've done something constructive, and that's going to encourage them to keep doing it. Maybe the next time they give somebody feedback, they do better job, or they are more convincing, or more. I'm looking for the word. It'll come to me just a second. Forget it. They'll have more power to it. as they learn to practice giving feedback, because there's a way to give feedback in a way that is going to be successful, and a way to give feedback in a way that's not going to be so successful. But everybody needs to practice. Everybody needs a practice of seeking feedback, and everybody needs the practice of giving feedback. And there's a skill there that when you generate that, you're able to again go back to that rightful claim to dignity, tenderness, and benevolence. Right? Because you only reason you're giving somebody feedback is you want to help them grow. You want to help them find a better way, a more efficient way, a more effective way, a different way, a different approach to the strategy, whatever that is. That's what feedback is all about. And when you're paying attention to somebody and you're giving them that feedback, you're doing the best thing you could possibly do for them. So it's really about, but people sometimes don't like feedback because they automatically turn it into criticism. They automatically turn it into negative feedback. And because they didn't ask for it. They should ask for it, whether they and they should ask for it. Now, you really shouldn't give people feedback just because you want to give them feedback. You probably should seek permission to give them feedback before you give them feedback. If they haven't asked, and they should ask, but if they haven't asked, you probably should seek permission to give them feedback before you give them feedback. Because um, once people have it in their mind that what everything you're about to say is against them, right? They're already putting up a defense when you're not even trying to offer an offense. You're trying to offer a collaborative approach or a meaningful understanding of things. You're not trying to do that battle offense defense. I'm going to prove you wrong. You're not going to do that. That's not what feedback is all about. Feedback is all about everybody putting their shoulder to the plow to make this thing better. Everybody trying to figure out a way to add something meaningful to the feedback loop that creates more positivity, more understanding, more greatness. Right. Number 6, how do you generate authentic support and encouragement? Well, quite frankly, like everything else, you have to ask for it. Um, it's important to know that when you ask for a person's support and encouragement to something that you're doing, you're giving them an opportunity to provide you something meaningful, something relevant, something significant, right? And they know it because you're asking for it. So they know now is a time for them to step up to the plate and really do something special or not. Give it a whole effort or a half effort or not. Um, but because you are asking, you are pointing out this is the specific need that I have. And I'm asking you because I respect you. I'm asking you because there's something special about you. I'm asking you because I think you might be able to help me and it would really be meaningful to me in order for that help to come. So I would appreciate it, right? I would think highly of you. It's about respect. I'm respecting you enough to ask. It's not disrespectful to ask for what you need. It's disrespectful to have somebody who could supply you what you need and for you not to give them an opportunity to step up and do the thing that their gift dictates that they have the ability to do, whatever the thing is. If somebody is gifted with tremendous wealth and it's overflowing and abundant for them, but you don't want to ask them to invest in what you're doing to help generate abundance that you can then share with other people, you're not helping them be meaningful, relevant, or significant. In fact, you're helping them to not be meaningful, relevant, or significant, right? So you have to learn there's an approach, and there's a right approach and there's a wrong approach, but you can ask, always learn how to ask for the support and encouragement that you need. Yeah, we all need it. We all need support and we all need encouragement. We need it from the right people, though. Asking for support and encouragement from people who can't, who already they have no level of abundance. Well, I mean, there's no abundance anywhere. There's no abundance in their time. There's no abundance in their talent. There's no abundance in their treasure. And you're asking, to get blood from a turnip. It's not there, right? So make sure that they're equipped and if you've done your homework, you should already know who you should be listening to. You should already know who you should be respecting. You should already know who you should be looking to for support and encouragement. But that means you got to do your homework. You can't go willy-nilly just asking everybody for everything you want. That's not appropriate. That's not honoring somebody else's gift. That's just trying to get what you can from everybody, right? And again, that's going to generate a whole lot of negative reaction and feedback, right? Um, there's a whole bunch of stories and presentations I'll tell. I think I'll save them for the document. I want to get into number seven. Number seven is why matching echoes are so important. But this is where we get into this concept of win-win, right? Everybody has a level of value and a level of commitment to their own personal values, their own personal principles that they have. And what I'm talking about is matching echoes, is understanding how to have communication that's deep enough and meaningful enough that you can find where your values do in fact align. When you find that you have principles and values that align with other people's principles and values. By the way, principle will always align because principle is the ultimate truth for all of us, right? Values, however, might not always be in alignment just because you get to choose the kinds of values that we want to share and participate in almost in the moment, right? So some values we really hold dear, some values we have to dial up when we need them. Like one of my core values that I hold dear, that I try to maintain and that I engage in every day is my value towards being an encouraging professional. That's one. Also, my value of having courage and being courageous in the moments where there might be fear, doubt, blame, shame, whatever those things. I always try to dial up those two values most importantly to me: being of courage, being a courageous person, and then being an encouraging person to other people. Those are the things that I hold dear. So I make them a part of my daily ritual. And I ask the question: how am I being encouraging today? How am I being courageous today? I do that before I plan for the next day. And then I ask myself at the end of the day, how did I demonstrate courage? How did I encourage someone else? And that's how I measure my level of commitment and benefit to the world, is by bringing those two. Now, do I have to be in those two values all the time, all day, every day? No, I don't. Because sometimes I need to be a little less courageous, a little less out front, a little less, leading and taking the arrows that other people should be taking, right? I I need to step back a little bit and assess. And then I need to be more strategic in how I do things. But that's kind of situational. I'm gonna go with, courage all the time. But every once in a while, I got to dial that back and then replace it with more strategery, right? More strategic analysis, or more of a different kind of approach to a situation, because that's situational. So I hope you understand what I'm talking about, the difference between principles and values. When you find those echoes, you find those things that are amongst other people that you hold dear, that you hold in common, that becomes a bridge that drives a connection. And then that connection will have resonance involved with it that will allow you to feel all the feel good stuff that comes along with working well with another person, right? Or a group or a team. When you have the high levels of feelings, what happens is your mojo gets to working, right? Everybody gets dialed up and gets focused on something in a way that you could just be together and be with each other, working towards whatever you're working towards forever, and it works just phenomenally. You're going to get, you know, chemically it's going to work, spiritually it's going to work, emotionally it's going to work. When I say chemically, I mean the hormones that we all produce, and we'll get deeper into that in a couple other sessions. But it's important, as you respect yourself, it echoes out. And you find, even if you're sharing the things that you love about yourself to someone else, and you're listening for the things that they love about themselves to someone else, you're going to find those common echoes. You're going to find what matters most to them and what matters most to you. And you're going to find ways to use and leverage those particular values to create even more. And that resonance is going to continue to build and build and build as you create a culture that's expansive versus one that is retractive and decimating and dying, right? You don't want that. So number 7 is about matching echoes. Number 8, the importance of finding and maintaining your spotlight. Everybody deserves to be in the spotlight. There's something that you could perform with excellence. Even if other people can also perform that thing of excellence, it's not a competition. It's about you shining in the spotlight the way you need to shine because your talent is important. Later on, we'll get into some of the biblical ideas about respect. But one of the things I want to share with you here about maintaining your spotlight is understanding your talent is going to make room for you. Your gifts, your talents, the things that you are great at, the concepts, the ideas that you bring into the world brilliantly are going to be the things that you want people to see. You want that spotlight, whether you're introvert or you're an extrovert. It's only adequate to your abilities and to your talents, and you want to make sure that you are receiving the attention that you deserve, not the attention that you desire, but the attention that your talent and gifts deserve, because you're actually in service to them as you move through life. You are in service to the gifts and talents that have been shared and given to you, maintained and nurtured through you and by you, however you've gotten them. They're yours. And so, in order for them to grow even further, you got to put them in the spotlight. In order for you to grow, you got to get the right attention on your gifts and your talents. You have to understand what they are, you have to be self-aware. You have to have all the things we talked about earlier, but then also asking for the spotlight. And once people get to put that spotlight on you, they can see you at war, but they can only keep the spotlight on you. Right. So that's how you maintain it. You find it by asking it for people who can shine it on you, but you maintain it by continuing to deliver the brilliance, whatever the brilliance is for you. By continuing to deliver the brilliance, you will maintain your spotlight. By continuing to grow, ask for feedback, look for encouragement, all the things that you need to do to continue to grow, you will get that. And that spotlight will remain on you. It will only get bigger and bigger. And guess what you can start to do? You can start to invite others into the spotlight, others who deserve to share that spotlight with you because they also have talents and gifts that others don't necessarily see. But you get to promote them by bringing them into the spotlight, by endorsing them, by providing them recommendations, by giving them the things that they need to do to to share in the resources and the connections that you've been able to build. And there are many different ways. We'll talk about all that throughout the series, right? Number 9, the last one that I think is the most important for today's talk, is what great ones are able to accomplish with open and honest communication, starting first with themselves. When you are okay with yourself and you are manufacturing just the best ideas that you appreciate and appreciate for them yourself so much that you can't help but to share them with others, you got something there. When you know it's something that's so good, it's so great, it's so exciting, and you keep it to yourself, you don't share it, it's gonna work against you. You want to share it. You want to give yourself that freedom to be able to be the person that you believe that you were here to be in all of your glory. And I'm not saying not to be humble. And we're going to cover that a little later on, but I want you to understand that your glory is your glory. It is a benefit that is given to you from the universe. And it's your job to share it openly and honestly. But you first have to accept it before you can share it. You have to be honest about it. Don't claim a gift, a talent, a skill you don't have. But claim a gift, a talent, skill you do have, and then grow it. Because it has a trajectory that could lead you in places where you can't even imagine. You might be able to imagine just a snippet of where it could take you. But an exercise I like to give to my clients all the time is if you were to take your highest gifts and talents and then just put it on its maximum overdrive, right? How could you make the absolute most of it? Where can it lead you? What can it do for you? Open up opportunities and spaces for you in your life. Where could you be? What could you be, do, and have as a result of maximizing this particular gift of yours? And that creates vision, right? And right behind that vision, you're going to come up with some missions. You're going to come up with some goals. You're going to come up with some tactics and some strategies, some habits, and then you're finally going to build the connections that you need to build to make all that work. And then you're going to be in alignment to that truth. Okay, that's today's talk. I hope you guys got something out of it. I know I did. I literally love talking with you all. I see Basil out there. I see Carolina out there. Caroline, Dennis, oh, good to see you. Thank you so very much. Again, Caroline, if you could, share us where you're looking, where you're coming from, what city, state, whatever you're coming from, any questions that you may have. Let me see what you got out here. A closed mind will never be able to innovate or elevate. This is true. This is a great thought. I love that. Thank you very much for sharing that with us, Caroline. And she also shared another little tidbit here: changing your perspective on feedback to a tool of empowerment, not a tool of devaluation. Hey, you said it better than I did. That's great. I really appreciate you for chiming in with your brilliance, Madam Dennis, MBA, CFEI. Do me a favor. Tell me what in chat, if you can, what CFEI is. Because I'm all about, I love acronyms and stuff. But it's great to have opportunities to learn and grow and share with one another. And that's a term, that's a designation I haven't heard before. Yeah, I'm just excited to know what that is. I'll probably Google it myself in a little bit here. But if you haven't shared it, thank you very much, Caroline. Thank you very much. Thank you all for your attendance. Thank you all for your patience. I hope you guys got something out of today's episode. Next week, we're going to take a deeper dive into professional respect. But we're going to approach this completely from a spiritual point of view. And then after that, we're going to come into the neurological point of view. We're going to talk about how all the neurons fire in dealing with that. Certified financial education instructor. Hello. That's what we're looking for. Where you coming from, Caroline? What city, state? That's always interesting stuff. And if you can tell us that, that'd be great. If you want somebody to contact you, reach out to you, give us your contact information, whether it's on LinkedIn, Facebook, YouTube, wherever you're calling from and sharing from. We would appreciate you that. And if you have any questions about anything we shared today, because these are the basics of professional respect. We're going to get a little deeper into them over the next couple of weeks. But and if you got some ideas, you want to come on the show, definitely let me know. My information is crawling across the screen, and I'll be more than happy to bring you on as one of our guest presenters, and we can just chop it up. I don't make my guest presenters do anything. We would just have positive reflections on the conversation. So we're just having conversation together. As long as your camera ready, you could be ready to be on the show. So don't be afraid to let your light shine. And I will definitely put a spotlight on you because that's one of the things I love to do anyway. So thank you very, very much. My good friend Basil says, good work. Thank you, Basil. Basil is the innovator, the founder, the CEO of the Networking Institute. Just one of my favorite people on the planet. And he and I have been trying to get in contact with each other. Basil, I promise you, I will definitely definitely you can share that, Basil. I guess I told you this is a business friendly environment. Definitely put in the chat, how people can link up to the expo. This is a great opportunity for people to network, especially if you're here in the DMV, you're in the Northern Virginia area. This is something you don't want to miss on November 15th. Basil has a full day of action and activity that is great for all your small businesses out there. You definitely want to participate and engage with this. If you get a chance, and please share the link with us, Basil. Don't hold back, man. Don't hold back. We're trying to put the spotlight on your thing. So let's make sure you get it. Okay. We're going to close out today. Thank you all for your participation. Thank you for your engagement. Thank you for your questions. This is what we do every Friday, right about the same time. We try to make sure that entrepreneurs and business leaders have what they need to put their best foot forward and move into whatever environment that they need to have. So wherever there's growth opportunities, we want to support that because we understand that small businesses have a great gift and great talent and great ability to share and move things. Oftentimes, they don't get the spotlight, they don't get the opportunity, and so we want to provide that for them. right here at Coach Powell Training Development on Coffee Tea, you and me with Coach Powell. I'm signing out. I had a great time today. I hope you guys had a great time too. God bless you, and we'll see you next Friday.